Maybe there's a giant issue that can't be solved. Sometimes it'd be like that.
Oh, so Wisconsin is shit?
Oh, there goes some soda
I
pop.
don't know about that though. Come on.
So with the lower issue being solved, with that being there's a giant issue that can't be solved, I'm gonna go ahead and get this taken off, the pods removed, the rubber sealant taken off, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing painted. I gotta figure out how to get all these little rubber grommets out of here without tearing them. But there's only 8 bolts holding this thing on. There's 2 down here on each side and the 4 in the front. So this should come off relatively quickly. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get this thing popped off and start disassembling and get ready for paint. Alright, so we got everything laid out in here. The fairing, pods, the new nacelle with all the... So what I need to do is get these rubber pieces out of the top here. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I just take some trial and error here. Everything is ready. We're going to do a little bit of surface prep here. Just some real quick sanding on this. Kind of want to clean up some of this shit on here, like where I had to drill the holes down here for the bracket. Sand this up, clean up just a little bit, and then the same with these holes for the light pods. They need to be cleaned up a little bit. Granted, they're going to be covered up. Nice even surface before I start spraying anything here. Okay, we got everything hung up. Well, the fairing's hung up. Everything else is going to be sprayed on the table here. Got some acetone, some paper towels. I'm going to wipe everything down, tack cloth it, and I have a couple little things I need to tape up on the fairing here. Then we are going to get this thing sprayed with primer. There's the paint booth I set up. Nothing too fancy, but it's going to be pretty permanent. It should work. Should work pretty well. Everything's been primed and been drying overnight. Should be plenty dry right now. It's a little on the cooler side. I want to say it's about 60 degrees. This having been dried for about 12 hours should be plenty. So we're going to go ahead and get all this hit with some 500 grit wet sandpaper. And then all the accessory parts like the pods, the nacelle, and all supporting parts of the nacelle are all going to get hit directly with black. And then the actual fairing is going to get, the front is going to get hit with silver first. Because like I previously said, I'm going to match the pinstriping on the tank to the fairing. So I actually have to run into town and get silver paint because I don't have any. I thought I did. Everything's going to get sanded. I'm going to pull the fairing out, set it aside, hit all this stuff with black, let it dry while I'm in town, and then do the opposite, pull all that stuff out, bring the fairing back in, hit it with silver, tape it up. I got a stencil I'm going to put on it with my name, tape all that up, spray it with the black, bring everything back in, let it dry, and then hopefully tonight hit everything with the final clear and let it dry for a few days before I start sanding and polishing. That's the plan. We'll see how it goes, but should be pretty straightforward. Alright, so I got everything sanded, wiped down with Semsolve, tack cloth all laid out in here. Fairing is not in here. That's, again, like I said, gonna wait till later when I do the silver. This is always gonna get hit with black, so I'm gonna do that real quick. Couple good coats of black. Probably gonna be 3 or 4 solid coats. And whatever I do on those, I have to do the same amount on the fairing so it matches, especially with the pods. Let it dry and then hopefully hit it with some clear in the next hour, 2 hours or so when it's dry. Alright, so the fairing has been sprayed with silver. I had a little bit of a run right here. It's not a big deal because I'm going to sand it all right now with 600 grit before I start taping off pinstripe lines. I put it on kind of thick and I think I added a little bit too much reducer and it kind of ran just right here. Like I said, it's not a big deal. I just need to make sure it doesn't happen with the black. That would not be good. So yeah, I'm just going to hit everything real quick, scuff it up with some 600 grit just to get the clear coats scuffed up so the tape will stick better. And then basically pinstriping I'm going to try to do is going to be the center point here. I'm going to try to start here, go around the headlight, go around the pod, down, follow the contours of the fairing, around, back up this edge, and back. And I'm going to do a double pinstripe to match what's on the tank. It shouldn't be too hard to do. I am working with a new tape, a new brand of tape I've never used. I used to use Line tape, but it started kind of acting funky. So I got some K tape, heard good stuff about this. So we'll see how that goes. Sanding real quick, I'm just gonna scuff up all the areas that are gonna get taped and then clean off with some glass cleaner, lay out all the tape, spray it with black, peel the tape, and then hit it with a final clear coat. And then it's gonna have to cure. It's kind of chilly. I was expecting to do this a few days ago and it was in like the mid 60s, but now it's like 40s. So I'm gonna have to let this cure for a few days now. Sometimes it'd be like that. Alright, so this is what I've got. Comes all the way around, down, around, up, back, and up. I don't like it. I think it's just a little bit too much. So I'm gonna rip all this out and try something a little bit simpler. I think this is gonna be pretty hard to duplicate on the other side. Some of this looks like shit. So let's try again. Alright, my battery died, but I finished this side. Looks a lot better, a lot simpler, a lot cleaner, and I think a little bit easier to replicate. Okay, so this time it's going up across the windshield, down, around the headlight a little bit, around where the pod's gonna be, down, around, and then it's through the back side. It's a lot simpler of a design, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a lot easier to replicate on the other side. So that's a plus. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the other side done, and go from there. Just got the last of the clear coat put on. I had 4 pretty heavy coats. My audio's kind of screwed up. My microphone died, so I'm using just the mic on the camera, so sorry. So I did 4 good coats. It's a little cold right now. It's like right around 50 degrees. And it's not gonna be getting any warmer anytime soon, so I'm gonna let this dry for quite a few days. All the other parts have been drying for a few days. They should be good to get sanded. I'm gonna wait until everything is put on to buff everything. I'm gonna get started sanding on everything else, the nacelle and all that stuff here shortly. Go ahead and put the triple tree cover on, because it has to go on before the fairing goes on anyway. I guess go ahead and get that knocked out, get the bars put on permanently, etc. Yeah, that's about it for painting right now. Like I said, it's gonna dry for a few days because of the weather. Hopefully no adverse reactions happen. But paint booth's doing pretty well. It's doing a pretty good job of keeping everything in. I need to get the ventilation system figured out a little bit more.